So we're talking about a gulf of hundreds of thousands of visits. That gulf is not there because of on-site ranking factors. It's not there because one website is, the gulf is there because of backlinks.
All right, so welcome to SEO Unveiled. Today I've got a wonderful guest with us. We got Jeremy Polland. Thanks, yes. Jeremy, for joining us today. His focus is on helping small businesses do their own SEO with agency power via his organization, DIY SEO. I mean, I love this idea of like do it yourself, because to be honest, that's how I got started. And so many people got started in this industry by just kind of working a playbook. And Jeremy's got a fantastic playbook and trying to like figure out SEO. And it's so challenging because now is so different than when I started 20 years ago, where I tried to do it myself. But like, hey, now, getting a guide is a really good way. He's super tactical, unique, and his methods have led to his 6-figure solo agency. I really am super excited to have Jeremy on the show today.
Thanks so much, Cam. Yes, and we discovered we hail from the same city. We're the exact same age, and we may have crossed paths, in the mall or something like that in the past.
Yeah, it's super funny, super funny. Memorial City Mall, we've probably both been there. Anyway, so the first thing I want to ask is why did you get into SEO? Because people come from so many different avenues into this space.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, yeah, I came from a nonprofit church background. I started writing, and I independently published my own book and realized there was no one to care unless I, made a real PR effort myself. And that led me pretty quickly into discovering some podcasts in 2013, the whole online business revolution, if you will. So I started learning WordPress, website building, which seemed so daunting at first, and thankfully now is a lot more accessible. And eventually the path continued to SEO. Okay, why does one website rank higher than another website? And I really enjoyed the sort of like espionage aspect of using tools like Ahrefs to spy, if you will, on companies' backlink profiles. And so that really became my jam, was trying to understand, learning how to decipher as much as possible why one website would rank higher, why one page would rank higher than another page. And so I got into that battle, and my favorite part was making lists or notes about how to get backlinks. In the very beginning, no one taught me, and I did have a few clients asking me to do work. I was charging them reasonable rates, and so my whole goal was help them catch their competitor. And we knew who the competitor was, we knew the keyword, it was plumbing, it was all about HVAC, whatever. And so my goal was building backlinks, and I would look at their stronger competitor and begin replicating as best I could how they get a backlink from this directory, how they get a backlink from this community organization. And then over time, I, gathered more and more sources, if you will. And so I could move pretty fast in, manual or light outreach network build. I don't do any like automated, black hat kind of stuff. I'm just filling out profiles, connecting with sites, sending legitimate emails. Can you add our company? Can we pay the $25 to be a member? Just working the system in a methodical way.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it kind of reminds me, back in the day, I mean, I feel like since we're kind of similar time frame, like I was even an editor on DMOZ for the first site that I had, because that was the way to get my backlink in DMOZ. I just volunteered to be an editor of the category that didn't have an editor. And I was yep, this is the way to do it. So
that's amazing. DMOZ is a cool backlink, and you're not even able to get one from it anymore. It's like closed or something. That's hilarious.
Yeah. I mean, but that was a long time ago. Okay. But I feel like it kind of really relates to your backlink story of like how you got started in directories, and it used to be very different. But I mean, I think, now it seems like things are just more challenging. Things are staying on trend and staying ahead of the curve is challenging. That's why, getting, insight from someone like you that works with so many different entrepreneurs and small businesses to try to figure it out, to kind of go through the minefield. Like, what trends are you noticing in general in SEO that are kind of newer and that are exciting for you to at least help others learn about as well as utilize yourself?
Great. Okay, I'll share a trend that negatively affected myself and a client that I was doing work for, and then I'll also share maybe sort of a timeless principle, to buttress that. So
Yeah.
the trend that had the negative effect on us was late November of 2021. So just wind the clock back. Google made some serious changes to the algorithm, in particular for product reviews. And I was working with a company that had a number of product reviews that were ranking both for the brand name itself and for specific model numbers.
Yeah.
And also for the category overall. And we had, let's say, medium grade content posts. We had researched what others had out there. We didn't have any video style reviews, directly showing the product, but we had a lot of text, 2,000 word plus. I feel like in 2 days, those were wiped into complete oblivion. So we had 3, 4, 5 that were generating a couple hundred visits a day, and those were just wiped aside. This particular client has a domain authority around 40. So, they've got a presence, and they do compete with some stronger players. The lesson or the tip for the user is product reviews need to be really, really well done nowadays. And the success story that I've seen in this particular niche, our higher performing competitor has video driven reviews, standing in front of the model of the unit, talking about it with a true expert, one of their owners, and then they extrapolate out text from the video review, and it's just really well done. And so Google has just improved the quality of what they're offering, ultimately their end user, right, the searcher, by raising the bar for product reviews. So anyone who's in this space has to be careful with automation, automated text or bot driven text or spinning or just sort of, we were kind of, aggregating ideas from multiple different posts in a way that was ethical. It just wasn't the highest quality. It was medium.
Yeah.
So
now,
they wiped us aside,
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely understand that we're moving from kind of written reviews to more, multimedia reviews are different, kind of a different format that I think more and more people are moving towards. Like, I find myself going to YouTube and doing a lot of searching in there for things like what you're talking about. And then back and forth to Google and YouTube to try to figure out because sometimes there's not good reviews on YouTube. There's not as much content. So are you posting on channels like YouTube, these kinds of reviews, or are you putting it in content? Like, what's the best practice that you found works the best?
Oh, great. I mean, and I'll share the best practice that I've seen our competitor do. I mean, they and one of the exact bullet points from Google in the explanation of the algorithm change and sort of their webmaster hint. Okay, what's happened to you?
Sure.
The bullet was, we are not able to determine from your post that you are that somebody has handled this item for real.
Sure.
Because we could all do research like we did in school about a place that we'd not ever been to, right? I mean, we can get information, we can write that information in our own words, add some original thought. That's all nice, but we haven't been there. And so what Google is now figuring out, I believe, with the video review, at least as the lead, there's still a ton of text on the page, but they're figuring out, hey, this company representative is touching the unit. So this is better than any kind of virtual writer, SEO, content person, bot, whatever, generating content about the unit who isn't touching it or hasn't, who we cannot be sure that they've touched it. So I think that's the thing. So yes, that video can and should go on YouTube, but it should, be at the top of the blog post, and then text can definitely be extrapolated out and then, improved, but a table of contents and just expert level. I mean, that's what I've told my client. I'm not an expert in this particular model or this unit or this category or brand. And now that's what's required. So either you are that expert as the listener, or you've got to leverage somebody who is, if you're going to do it. Or maybe the space isn't that competitive. But if it's competitive and there are dollars involved and bigger search volumes, then just do it right, or just don't even try.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting because you're talking about like the hands-on review. That's kind of what I imagine. So the video,
Mm-hmm.
you can really tell.
You standing there, yeah.
Yeah,
so
you can tell there's that product
Mm-hmm.
there. There's a person talking about it, and
yes.
so you get really good insight that the person is actually have some knowledge about the product versus just, I mean, I feel like years ago there was all these like, almost like the the real estate slideshows on YouTube for product reviews of like top 10 XYZ in like a computer voice. And it's so easy to tell that, hey, this is just kind of like SEO spam kind of thing, where they probably just have no idea about any of these products and never have used any of them.
Totally. Yeah. And I get it, because I sometimes tilt towards trying to do the clever shortcut. And I know that's just, and that can work for a time in various ways. And it can pass an ethical test, but what Google is saying, that this doesn't pass our quality control test. I actually wouldn't be surprised if they have some human, reviewer oversight, just like they do at YouTube. Sometimes they're analyzing videos and content, and they might, in the big volume categories, they might be going through and making some kind of notation or star or no star, just by watching the video. I'm serious.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I mean, I would be surprised, but not be surprised if they had people watching the videos. But it's kind of
the algorithm, basically. Yeah, I'd like to like feed into the algorithm. Sure.
Yeah, it's super interesting how that kind of works. I'd love to understand, a little bit, stepping into kind of a little bit of a different realm. Like, we definitely have people that are figuring out, like, okay, now that I figured out that I need more reviews that are like kind of, more human oriented, a little bit more in depth, more video centric. Like, how do you go about kind of challenging and getting things prioritized and implemented when you have to kind of rework a whole area like that? Like, do you have any tips and tactics for people kind of in those situations?
Yeah, good question. I mean, if I was redesigning this process for myself or for someone else, I would break it down into maybe one to two of these quality reviews per month, per se, and prioritize them. Sort of break down the whole wish list of reviews, so to speak, and model numbers, shoes, products, whatever it is. So maybe the 30 shoes to be reviewed, then within maybe 5 categories, and so group them together in an orderly way, prioritize them by volume and significance to your business, and then, create a workflow. I know that it's kind of a lot involved, but once you create one of these workflows, you can, move to the next.
Replicate.
Yeah, but create a shooting day. I mean, you could potentially shoot more than one, but if you've got a salesperson or an owner or an expert, say, could we shoot one a week, or one, just figure out, based on what about what's going on, of the frequency and the efficiency, and get that visual content. Because once you get the expert standing in front of the item, holding the shoe, wearing the clothes, testing out the goggles, whatever it is, then you can get the text from that beautiful audio and visual And then you can buttress the text a little bit by, adding some supplemental links, adding some stats. I mean, some good stuff. You can take the
Yeah.
the 3,000 words, that were spoken, or let's say 1,500 words were spoken in 8 minutes of the video. You can bump that up to 2,000 words with some meaningful additions and stats and
Sure.
research and comparisons. And then you've really got something. So if you're doing the videos and you know what videos you need to make, I mean, you can move through the process. So and
Yeah.
figure out
I mean,
what parts to pay, outsource. Maybe you hire a local videographer to come, because that
sure.
creates the moment in time. I think that's good business for the videographer, and it's just, you're going to get good work in a relatively short amount of time. So that might really be a good spend. I mean, for some people.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of reminds me of this one online presence I know of, Obsessed Garage, where they're very video driven, but they're very detailed about the reviews. It's like,
Okay.
this is like a guy that, like, he has a company that sells a lot of like car detailing products and
Okay.
garage oriented products. And it's very interesting because he has like these hour plus reviews of like one pressure washer. And he has so many reviews, and he like goes in so in depth, and he's just
Wow.
so meticulous about it. And I'm like, wow. So that's like, that might be the goal. And it's like, how do you get there
Yeah.
stepwise? Can you do a 10-minute review? Can you talk about kind of the technical aspects? Can you talk about like how it compares to other products and be hands-on with it to give a little bit of insight, like what you're talking about? Can you do 5 in a day? Just do 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes. So you got an
Yes.
hour and give or take a little bit of transition time, and you got 5
Mm-hmm.
reviews. And if you can have the product owner, like the owner of the company, do it, or one of kind of the sales representatives or someone like that, do the reviews, then it's good for everybody because they have so much knowledge on the product. Really cool stuff.
Yeah.
I
Thank
love
you.
hearing this
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah. I mean, kind of looping back to a little bit about kind of, I feel like you've discovered a lot of different ways of doing things differently and improving, and how to like help kind of smaller businesses get into
Mm-hmm.
SEO. I mean, I'd love to kind of know, like, your basic tips for the small local business that hasn't had much online presence. What do they need to start doing today? Where do you typically start as a foundation?
That's great. I mean, yes, this is my bread and butter, and really, I'd say my primary focus or area of knowledge within SEO is the ground floor, local businesses, new startups, smaller e-commerce folks who who have a site, who have content, or have content in their head, and would like to be seen more. And so where I start is with a Google Sheet. I have a Google Sheet that I've customized and refined over time with multiple different tabs. Tab 1 is I fill in general business information, just helpful stuff: address, phone number, business birth date, you name it on there.
Sure.
Table 2, I grab a few competitors, both from verbal knowledge of the online competition sphere, and I'll usually use a tool to see, who the tool thinks the online competition is for my client or my entity.
Yeah.
And so I'll fill that out on the competition page. Then I'll grab the referring domains for each of those competitors. I'll list off a domain authority. I've got all these fields ready to be populated. And so I'm kind of lining out the game. So if we're talking about Jim's Plumbing is my client, they've
Mm-hmm.
got a domain authority of 3. They've got 4 backlinks, 4 referring domains that we know about. We're going to list that in our column under Jim's Plumbing. Then we're going to have competitor number 1, number 2, number 3, all of their backlinks listed. Let's say one of them has a domain authority of 10, one has a domain authority of 20, and one is the market leader and the larger player in the area, and their domain authorities of 30.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to have all 200 quality referring domains. I usually cut off below a domain authority of 20. And so I'm going to grab those 200 referring domains in a CSV download from Ahrefs, and I'm throwing that into my sheet. And so I call it the backlink gap. So I'm now telling Jim, hey, you have 4 referring domains. Big player competitor number 3 has 200. So our gap is 196. somebody could certainly say this is oversimplification, but I'm just framing the game as best
Sure.
we know it.
Trying to outline the competitive
I'm
landscape.
outlining the game. You're a small boxer and you're trying to box, a large heavyweight. Okay, what do you need to do? You need to
Yeah.
gain 100 pounds. So that could be lined
Fast.
out. Fast, really fast. And so that's what we're doing. And then I'm referring to my backlink repository. I've collected over 3,000 sources. I've got general monthly 20 to 30 backlink programs. And so I'm just working through that. One tip is I create or ask them to create for me a marketing email with their domain. So marketing@jimsplumbing.com.
Sure.
And then I can legitimately, even though I'm not a full-time, I'm an agency representative of their company. Even if I was the owner working on my own company, I'd still create a marketing email and use it to build these profiles and so on, and keep some of it out of my primary inbox.
Yeah.
Because you're going to get a lot of email back. But so I'm building directories, profiles, paying $10 here, $25 here. I'm looking at industry sources. I'm going to look at the competition and say, highlight a few of my favorite backlinks, like, oh wow, they're on Plumbing Today. How'd they get on
Sure.
plumbingtoday.com? It's $100 to join. So I'm going to recommend, and it's a strong website. So I'm going to recommend that $100 spend to legitimately join this website.
Sure.
They're on Plumbing World, and the price to get on Plumbing World is to submit a quote or an interview. So let's do that. And so we're really just moving through these actions, and none of it's rocket science, but it does take a little bit of continual effort and diligence. And I'm noting all of my backlink activity inside my sheet. And so when I complete Plumbing World, I'm gonna write Plumbing World, domain authority of 60, and I'm gonna actually hyperlink the URL where Jim's Plumbing is featured, so that I could show that to them. Actually share the sheet with my client, so they can basically follow along in real time. What backlinks are being built. I know I'm not touching on content here, but I'm focusing on this backlink building regime to get them off the ground, to get them noticed. Because the truth is that jimsplumbing.com, if we register that domain right now, Google does not care. The only people who care are people selling services who find out the new domains that are registered. Google does not care until their bots find your site, as they're crawling.
Via some link somewhere.
Yeah, you got to get some link somewhere and just show that there's some kind of legitimacy. So when you get to 100 referring domains, wow, that's significant, and that's really helpful for many local businesses. So bottom line is, I think 100. I tell people you're usually 100 referring domains away from something meaningful, and that's a mix of small, medium, and high powered. So a blend.
It's pretty interesting because when you start out, like you said, you're kind of like invisible, and so getting some backlinks is super important. And then it sounds like content would be the next pillar that you go down on your strategy.
Really would be the next pillar. Really be the next pillar. And maybe we've already done some of that. Maybe that's already in place. They've got a service page. They've got a page for their 3 primary services. The homepage is fairly well populated. So, I'm reasonably pleased with that. But the backlinks start to roll, and then we may determine we should build backlinks or deep links to the 3 service pages.
So I'm curious to know. So it's really cool. I feel like you've gotten a really good handle on the beginning aspects of starting if you don't really have much online presence. But what about people that kind of, have been toying around with SEO for a little while, tried to learn, but maybe they're just doing some things what are like the common things that people are doing that they really need to stop doing? Maybe is a better
question. That's a good question. I feel like a lot of people could stop tinkering and talking about on-site SEO. I know it's important. It's sort of like taking your car to be tuned up and serviced. you do need to do it. But once you do it and you spend the $100, you're usually good to go for 6 months, right?
Yeah.
Or a year.
You don't need an oil change every day.
Yeah. So we're not talking over and over about alt tags and metadata. And I do find that I'm talking to business owners and people, who are professionals outside of digital marketing, and they quickly want to talk about on-site SEO as if that's the primary factor in the game. And yes, there are definitely times when people have an issue that needs to be solved. Let's get your images compressed down so they load faster, big loading time improvement. Yes, Google loves that. Yes, that's a part of the algorithm ranking factors, all that. But the main reason why luxury appliance Titan is generating hundreds of thousands of views is not because of there's some big, and then their middle grade competitor has thousands of reviews. So we're talking about a gulf of hundreds of thousands of visits. That gulf is not there because of on-site ranking factors. It's not there because one website is, the gulf is there because of backlinks and or content. And many times the content is close. Because Google's ranking a product page, right? A product page, almost the same skinny text there. So the backlinks separate the heavyweights from the middleweights from the lightweights. And age of domain plays a role. Obviously, we cannot, we can't expedite the aging of a domain. So it is nice if you have an aged domain.
Buy an old domain.
You can buy an old domain. You're right. Actually, that might be a smart strategy for a lot of people. Maybe swap out their new domain for something older if it works, name wise and so on. But ultimately, building. So I would say drop the on-site SEO obsession and swap that for some strategic backlink building. I call them in my realm. I call them special plays. I'm trying to creatively help people harness assets they may already have, or quickly generate some meaningful assets. And I'm talking about things like a job or a career page. Does that company, maybe your company has an ongoing hiring need. You're in the video production space. You're essentially always hiring video professionals, or always receiving resumes. So have a career page with that ongoing perpetual need, and then shop that page. So I have a whole section for job, where job opportunities can be shared.
Yeah.
And it's not, of course, there are expensive paid marketplaces for jobs, but I'm saying there are a lot of free places you can share your job page and receive both applications and an SEO beneficial backlink from that. So, and other special plays are events, scholarships, community service, podcasts, books, or other publications. All of those can be harnessed and shared or played out for a legitimate SEO business. If you're having a community event, you can put that on meetup.com. I mean, you can sort of follow the trail. You can tip off all your local publications and say, we're having an open house where, so.
I feel like you're kind of like opening up like a box of candy, and there's just so much to choose from. And it's like, which Halloween like candy are we going to choose right now to talk about? Because I feel like your tactics are just so deep. It feels like you got, okay, I'm going to do this and this. And so I feel like you must have, with this DIY SEO community, you must have really filled it with a lot of great, meaningful, helpful advice to help.
There's some unique stuff. I've geeked out on this, and my wife would even say I've spent like too much time just, fiddling and making it broader and bigger, and not enough time sort of promoting it, which I guess is my motif now.
Yeah.
There are even ways I show people they can harness, the demographics of the company, the ethnicity of the leadership, veteran status, on and on, potentially the religion or the affiliations of the leadership for legitimate, backlinks. So if it's women owned or minority owned or owned by one of the owners is disabled in some way, or a
Or an
military
opportunity
veteran.
zone company, a lot of things.
Opportunity zone. Wow. Yeah. So you can really that could be 10 meaningful backlinks. You're literally just, and so really what I've lined out for myself, because I built DIY SEO for myself and I still use it as my own playbook. I've lined it out for other people so they can, say, hey, okay, I'm a woman. I own this company. I've got 20 different places sites they can go. And I give them little notes. Just, email this person, fill out the form. They would like to see your official, MWBE certification, or, so I'm just kind of streamlining the process. It costs $50 to be listed here, so they can just move through this. This took me hundreds of hours as I was kind of muddling through myself. And then I'm like, well, A, I can sell this as a way to help people, and B, earn a fair return.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a really interesting way where you've taken a lot of your knowledge, a lot of the tactics and tips you even talked about today, compile them in an easy format so people can really start to learn SEO for their own business and do it. Because there's a lot of people that want to do it themselves. There's a lot of people that want to get their hands dirty. And
I kept running into people, who they almost wanted to do my job for me, or in some way they were almost like resentful at times, like, why, and I understand that mindset, and so, and there are people that are truthfully not able to afford, let's say, a full service price point.
Sure.
I mean, SEO has historically been a little bit of a pricey online service. We all know there's sort of can be a scammy aspect, or there are providers out there that aren't really providing value to people, and we don't ever care to be that. But so the DIY offering is a lower cost offering here, as if they were sitting in the agency's desk. Here's our notes, here's our processes at an accessible price point, when you can do it yourself, either because you wanted to, or that's the best budgetary decision.
I mean, I think it's pretty interesting. So where can people contact you if they want to learn more about what you got going on?
Thank you, Cam. Yes, I'm at diyseo.link, and I do have an online presentation that walks people through how this process works, and what it looks like, and what it costs. And I do target both small businesses who'd like to do it themselves, which ironically may eventually push them into the arms of an agency, right? Because I'm basically showing them the work involved. I'm giving them notes, but that might almost be beneficial in some ways to a marketing agency. It almost like flip them back and be like, no, never mind. I don't want to do this. This is cool. Maybe I'll even take this tool and give it to an agent, to someone to work on myself. And I also do market it to marketing agencies as an SEO machine, because I have encountered lots of agencies who either don't have an SEO provider on the team, they're not confident in what they're offering. They may be spending a lot of money on a backlink outsourcer. I've seen that quite a bit. You're talking a couple hundred, sometimes $100 for one backlink, or $200, depending on the domain authority. So I can help people, for the cost of one backlink, I can arm them with a repository.
Sweet. So that sounds like a great deal. That sounds like a great deal.
I mean, they got to put forth a little effort, but one of my favorite backlinks I'll share with everybody is aarp.org. They've got a business directory of entities that pledge to respect aged workers. It's a very simple and straightforward pledge that I feel like anyone could honestly take.
Sure.
You're not going to discriminate on the basis of age. And if you do that, they will list you on their website. So it's a free.
Amazing. All right. So we got one free backlink. That's
aarp.org business directory. Find it.
I'm gonna go add SEO Radar to that right now.
Okay, go add SEO Radar. So that's the kind of thing. If Jim's Plumbing can get that in month 1, how much better off are they going to be than discovering that? And if you're an agency, if you've got all these little bullets in your arsenal you're going to be able to deliver results. It's not like I'm selling, a magic bean. I'm simply saying you are going to raise their rankings. You are going to help your client. It is, you can show clear metrics simply by building these quality. There's no way to lose. I mean, some people are going to have greater gains than others or whatever. And there's still content and strategy involved, but this is 40% of the whole game here. So you can really, if you're playing football and you gain muscle and you're gonna do better on the field, period.
Sure. So it's building you, starting out with a strong foundation. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jeremy, for being on the show. Really appreciate your time. I really appreciate everything. We're going to wrap it up here, and thanks so much for everything and giving everybody all these amazing tips and tactics.